Green, green. How do you fix this? I don't know. Let's get fixed soon. All right, beautiful. We're all coming in over here. It's a Friday. We have Mitch there with the relaxing medication. Relaxing on a Friday. It's the month end. It's the weekend. Um, I would prefer, hopefully, no one tries to, you know, overtrade today or over risk today. It's going to be futile to do that today. Let's see here if we can send the link over to. Oh, okay. So we got the gulag coming in here as well. Amazing. Hey, I love your stream. I learned so much. Thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. So probably not going to look at much analysis here for today because it's going to be like, chilling, relaxing day. We're going to go over like, any problems guys had or something like that. Also, we're going to have Alex on too here soon. So I think that's going to be a pretty good conversation there. Okay, what's this? Can you see something different? Actually, you know what? This zone work looks pretty good. I'm actually looking for sells as well on gold. I was looking at the 4-hour chart. I was looking at the way it was ranging. So I was actually looking for sells below this area earlier on during London, but we did not really break below this low. But I do think the only trade that I might look at would be a sell below 1765. That's it. That's the only thing I might look at. Or maybe a buy above 1774, and that's it for today. Nothing more, nothing less. What strategy do you trade? Price action. Been watching you for over a year now. I've learned so much. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Hello from Dubai. Oh, we got Dubai in the house. The land of the Dubai. Did you did you take those GJ sells? No, I did not take any trade. I was actually watching this. I was actually watching this on the 4-hour here as well. As the 4-hour was breaking the low, I was thinking, should I take the sell? It's gonna go down over here, but then I was actually working at the same time too, so I was like, no, you know what? That's okay, that's fine. So I let it go. But that was pretty clean though. The 4-hour candle closed below support. You can see this price action works on all too. 4-hour broke below the support. We broke below the low, and then just slowly continued to trickle down. Is there any difference of candle formations in TradingView for FXCM or Oanda? I've never looked at any differences at all. If I'm going to look at one feed, I'm going to stay on one feed. I'm not going to look at any other feed to look for differences. I I've never done that because sometimes it can be confusing. So it's better to just stick to what's presented here. Only been trading for 2 weeks and catching nothing but L's on GJ. Would it be stupid to look at another pair that is less rangy? See, it depends. I mean, pound yen has been pretty difficult this whole month. It has been extremely hard, so you're not alone with taking L's. Like my win rate on pound yen has been 50% this month. So it's been pretty garbage too. It's just been ranging. Sometimes price is going to range, and sometimes it's going to give you nice trends. It's the way it goes here in the market. So when something's ranging, you can't just say, oh, you know what? Let me look at something else. It's like when you have friends and your friend is in a bad mood, you're not going to say, oh, let me go find another friend. Because this guy's in a bad mood today, so let me go find new friends. Yeah, it's not gonna work that way. So you gotta be very patient. You gotta be very patient, and you gotta understand that, sometimes price just ranges. It's just how it is, and especially if you look at the macro economic view right now, there's nothing really happening at this point. There's no breaking news happenings. Economies are at a standstill. I mean, there's nothing. If you compare this month to last year April was volatile. We had the virus going on strong. We had the vaccine optimism. We had Brexit news happening. A lot of things were happening last year. We also had Trump last year too. So this year is pretty slow. All right, what's this? Gold 5-minute chart. Enter at the break of the high. Nice. Aiming for 10 pips. Beautiful. Nice. Hope it works out for you. I'm just looking for buys above this area here. 1775, right? 1775. Potential buys above 1775. right here. This is the only thing I'm looking at today because we got clean range to the left hand side, extremely clean range. You know, and sells below this area. What's this? 1765, let's say 30. 1765, 30. Right there. Can you look at gold support for 30 minutes is around 1765? Yeah. Which one would you look at? I'd look at what I'm looking at here. You know, it's pretty solid, pretty clean. You know, no reason to go into like extreme details of where the exact support is going to be. Just waiting for this low to break, you know, whatever that low is. That's why I have it at 1765.30. UK elections next month, I believe. Oh, actually, let's take a look over here. Forex factory. So today we have nothing. We have CAD, GDP, and then some low impact USD news, and then the month is going to end, the week is going to end. So, you know, be very careful. Don't get involved in any risky trades. So Sunday we got yen holiday. Oh, we got bank holiday, JPY, Chinese holiday, whatever. Tuesday we have nothing. We have, oh, looks like Japanese are going to have a long week over here. Holiday, we got interest rates for the pound. Thursday is going to be volatile day. All right, we got FOMC as well. Perfect. Let's see what happens. FOMC. Let's see here. This is been here for a few weeks. Still look like a noob. That's fine. Buys above this area. Sells below this area. Looks good. It's perfect. You know, just don't bank on this playing out today on a Friday, you know, because price is ranging at the moment and it can continue to range, you know, up until market close. So you got to be careful about that. You got a resistance, you got a support down over here. So basically just kind of like, you know, price is stuck in this range here. Good morning, wish you all luck. I might just chill. It's Friday and yeah, it can just range today. Yeah, so far it's just ranging. There's nothing happening at this point. Please explain how come gold was pushing lower and suddenly in 10 minutes it changed direction and moved 20 pips to the upside. Even isn't traders follow something, right? What do you mean? Yeah, price was pushing down and then it pushed up. It's, you know, now when we look at the market, what happened here? Look, the candle closed with no wick at the bottom. So there's probably no sells at that point. Yeah, there's probably no sells at that point. So you got to be, you know, when a candle closes with no wick, you don't take a trade. You stay away from that. You know, you wait for the next candle to form. All right. See here, I waited for 6 hours to see the market doing exactly what I wanted to. I managed my risk. The trade didn't work out. Minus 1.5 pips. It was an A plus setup. Nice. Yeah, that's the thing. Like sometimes like you're going to see setups that will happen all the time at the same time, the same way. And like, you know, sometimes there'll be probability that it may not work out, you know, and you just got to be okay with that, you know, because if let's say if price breaks below this level, 1765, and starts to move down, then there's a small probability it can, you know, continue back in the range. You seem angry today. I don't get angry, trust me. It's very, very hard to make me angry. I don't get angry at all. Maybe that comment made me angry now. Mr. Faris Buza. Please explain how would you have taken the sells when GJ broke support? Yeah, I mean, it was just 4 hour, I think. You know, also when you look right over here, yeah, I think this was very, very clean based on the 4 hour. That's it. Very clean on the 4 hour. Broke below support, next 4 hour candle broke the low, clean candles to the left hand side, and it was pretty sick after that. Because, you know, if it broke the low right here, your stop could have been like 16, 15 pips, and you had a whole 20 to 23, 24 pip range at this point. When you started as a trader, how did you increase your lot size? Confidence. Like, you know, confidence. Like you look at your results, you look to see how confident you are, like how consistent you are, and then based on that, your confidence increases, and with increased confidence, your lot sizes, you know, start to go up a little bit. But the main important thing is when you increase your lot size and you take that first loss on the bigger lot size, you just can't say, oh man, like, you know what, Now let me go back down my lot size, because that's not going to work. Because what if you win the next time? It happens to a lot of guys. Like you'll trade, you'll increase the lot size, and you'll take the first loss in the bigger lot size, and then you're going to reduce the lot size because you took a loss, and then you're going to take a win on that reduced lot size, and now you're still in a net loss because you reduced the lot size. But when you're increasing lot sizes, always understand how to manage risk. Managing risk is going to be very, very important when you're increasing lot sizes, because with managing risk, you can literally lower down your planned risk. I mean, like yesterday, I opened a 10 lot. My risk was $900, and I closed the trade at like negative 240, 250. Pound USD. Would this be a good impulse entry if the candle breaks the high? Yes, I think so. If this candle closes bearish and next one breaks the high, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for price to move up. You got clean candles to the left hand side as well. Let's take a look over here. Oh yeah, we're still ranging over here now. It's been in the same range. Let's bring this down over here. Yeah, it's been in a range over here.
Alex in the house.
All right, we got Alex here.
Good morning, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Great, yourself?
Good, good. Nice to see your charming, fresh face today.
Well, thanks for having my charming, fresh face on the stream.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
So, yeah, I barely just joined, so I didn't catch too much. You were looking at some trade setups, right, guys?
Yes, sir. Hi.
Hey, Mac, how you doing?
Yeah.
Good, and you?
Good, good. Can't complain. Always pushing, right?
Always.
Yeah, mostly I was just telling the guys it's the Friday, it's the end of the week, it's the end of the month. So if you're looking for something, look at something that really, really, really makes sense. Just really wait, because I think the most of the losses happen at the end of the week or at the end of the month, because you want to recover losses and you feel like Friday is just the end of everything and you got to make all those recoveries back. But most of the times it's not the case. Yeah. So Alex, I want to ask you, what's your views on Dogecoin? Like, what do you think? What do you think?
It's an interesting topic. Like, look, from one perspective, this whole meme coin thing is obviously insane. I mean, no one in his right mind could think that this is an investment opportunity or something you should or can take seriously. But, at the same time, there is someone like Elon Musk and what's the other guy's name from Shark Tank that are basically supporting that thing
Mark Cuban.
Exactly, Mark Cuban, and and it's I think it's irresponsible not to have even just a little bit. It's not something. It's not an investment advice anyway. But just to get your feet wet, but has nothing to do with understanding about the crypto market or let's just say the vision of the Bitcoin maximalists. The anti-fiat movement more or less. But it's crazy, and the upside is incredible. You have a little bit to put on there. When it comes down and then being pushed back up, it's interesting. But my personal opinion, I didn't get any. So I'm irresponsible from that perspective. I didn't get any, no. Not at all.
Yeah, I have like 1,000 in it just as to see what happens.
Oh, you do?
That's it. Yeah.
Right.
Like $1,000 just to see. Oh, nice. It's up now. It's down now. It's up now. Nice.
Yeah, this. I mean, I think in a way, it's interesting that it brings the idea of crypto to more and more people. And but literally, if you want to understand more about the whole space, then this is not a representation of it, in my opinion. Not at all, actually. But speaking of crypto, I mean, it's a vast universe. It's not just for, I would say people that are interested in cryptocurrency per se, but you have futures trading there. You have all sorts of different markets and inefficiencies that you can trade on. There's a lot of arbitrage opportunities in those markets, and for anyone who likes to trade these kind of things, it's a massive opportunity. And so that's why I would definitely recommend to anyone that has an open mind to look into it. Like, guys, you have a very specific way of trading here. You're shooting for directional, short-term type of trading in very specific markets. But I'm, for example, I'm a big fan of market neutral strategies, like where you can basically have a hedge across different markets and capture profit between them, an arbitrage. And that's something that the more inefficient the market is, meaning the newer a market is, less regulated, or not the regulation, but less, professional participants in it, the more you have opportunities to take advantage of. And that's, it's great, man. I love it. Like, personally, I'm a big fan of the whole crypto space. Not for the Dogecoin, though.
Yeah, like looking back, I remember when I first heard about Bitcoin was in 2006, when it was like, $2, like almost like $1. And to that, I was like, well, seems interesting. At first, I thought like it was a game token, like something you get when you play. There was a game back then called Red Alert. Mm-hmm. And I was like, maybe some sort of a game token. So I never really thought much of it. A bunch of my buddies, they had Bitcoin. And I was like, oh, well, nice, So when I look at that now, it's just unreal how something virtual is literally took over everything.
Yeah, but in a way, what is not virtual? That's kind of the thing. Do you still use a map as printed on paper? You don't. Do you still use a Post-it? Do you still, like everything has become digital more and more and more. Us talking here today, knowledge, education, all of that has dematerialized. Why wouldn't money do the same?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We're moving way towards that right now.
Yeah, and obviously there's ups and downs for both perspectives, but in general, I think that it's more convenient. And really, once you realize, especially from a Bitcoin perspective, that you can be your own bank, you don't need to have middlemen in between. It's efficient in a way that it doesn't have a leak. Like the central or the fiat money system has a leak. It's losing value every year, more and more and more. And there's one participant that's allowed to create infinite amounts of it. That's not possible with Bitcoin, and so that's why, in its way, it's like Michael Saylor calls it thermodynamically sound. He says, like, look, if you're an engineer from a physical perspective, you cannot work with a system that has a leak, whether it's hydraulics or whatever it is, something that has a leak doesn't work from a physical perspective. And that's what we're seeing with money.
Yeah.
And but I always, like, everybody has some sort of old school Bitcoin story, but that's why Bitcoin is so expensive today, because the use case or the business case is so much more clear. It's actually less risky to buy it today. That's why it's much more expensive than it was 5 years or 10 years ago. And nobody saw that coming in that extent, I would say.
Yeah, in terms of investments, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he's like, hey man, I just bought a bunch of Bitcoin. And I'm like, how much? He's like, oh, like, maybe like 4 or 5 bits, not even like the whole price, because it's too expensive. And I'm like, okay, so what's your view on this? Like, how much can you gain on this now? I mean, you can't make 100%, because for you to make 100%, you need the price to, like, double at this time. Double. So let's say if we're at 58, you want the price to go to like 106 or 116. But you're right, like the biggest way to make money was like when it was like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000.
Yeah. Like I do think that the thousands of percentages, they're probably behind us. But look, the market cap, Bitcoin is $1 trillion today. Gold alone is 10 trillion. And with all the stock markets, bonds, real estate, we have hundreds of trillions of value in this world, So from that perspective, am I saying Bitcoin's going to go 100 times up? No. But does it have room to go 10 times up just to match gold as a more digital, convenient way of storing value? To me, that sounds a reasonable thing. It's absolutely possible. I think I mentioned it the last time. Like, gold is great in terms of, everybody talks about intrinsic value. So what's the intrinsic value of gold? My jewelry? I don't know. Like I don't wear gold anyway. But in in general, it's like it's what we think, what we make it, right? And gold, it's like physical. You can move it over time. The value remains in it. But how do you move it through space? If I'm gonna take my gold with me from here to you in Canada, I gotta hire a plane for it. No, I don't have that much, but but I mean, like, there's an inconvenience that comes with the physicality of the gold storage of value that Bitcoin doesn't have. It moves through time and space in the same way, very quickly and easily, and that's definitely another. It just matches what Facebook and all this digital era actually gave us in opportunities and possibilities. Just doing that from a storage of value perspective, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, that's a very scary thought, because I was just thinking about it, like, just as you said that you can't really move gold like you can move all these virtual currencies. What about all these countries that have all this gold storage, like Israel, you have Russia, you have China? Like, will they even, like, China is heavily regulated crypto now because they have a lot of gold storage, and they know that if they don't regulate it, they will lose, the gold will lose its value. Right, so this to me seems pretty interesting. How, like, if all this becomes, like, very, very mainstream, and especially now with that they're moving into digital currencies too. So future of gold
currencies.
Yeah. So yeah, I have no idea how that's gonna affect it in the long term.
Well, in a way, I think that the problem with central bank digital coins is that they're really literally a way to track your every spending behavior completely, and so that's what makes it so different again to a Bitcoin, for example, which is not issued by any central government or a bank or whatever, and that's why the regulation of Bitcoin, also how you look at it legally, is not so easy for the lawmakers, because there's no who you're going to regulate. Who's issuing Bitcoin? Who's the central authority of Bitcoin? There isn't. It's us, all of us. It's a network. That's why if you look at Metcalfe's law, like how networks grow incrementally, like we're probably not even seeing the appreciation of Bitcoin, but we're seeing the adoption of a technology. Like let's just see how look at the internet. It basically took over everything that we know today.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, like nobody liked the email. Nobody's gonna use the email, right?
Yeah.
So. Like, because I'm reading here some questions about Elon Gate and like, guys, really don't get into these meme coins. Try to understand the idea of why Bitcoin is let's just say the evolution of money. It's a bank in cyberspace. Like, really a great point to start is hope.com. Go to hope.com. That's the website of Michael Saylor. He's a much smarter guy than me. And he's the founder of MicroStrategy, and he's putting his money where his mouth is. He literally put billions in Bitcoin himself. And he wrote a book, The Mobile Wave, in the early 2000s, about how Amazon, Facebook, all of them is going to take over the world, basically. That's exactly what happened. And so he's a rocket scientist from MIT, so don't take my word for it. Go and do research for your own. That's actually what I encourage everybody to do when it comes, even from learning to trade, then up to having an opinion about just anything. You need to be able to do research, yourself, and don't believe any fucking word of anybody. Not me anyway, Go and find out for yourself, and I think that's a skill that we all need to cultivate and keep training for the rest of our lives, to really not take anything at face value, but really go out and educate ourselves, research ourselves, test things out, and in order to have an own understanding about it, right?
Yeah, I know that's true. So when cryptos came out early, or like when you got wind of it, what was your whole idea at first? Like, of course you would have been like, well, what the hell is this?
Well, I remember, actually it was in 2011. I had a client from Japan, and I was in the trading business, and he was telling me, I have many clients that I made rich with Bitcoin in 2011. They have money to invest. That's the first thing I heard when I heard about Bitcoin, or 2010, something around that time. And I didn't even think about, like, hey, what is this Bitcoin? Can you tell me about this? I just, great, the guy has clients.
He's got coins. Yeah, like actual coins.
It took a while for me to get around and to really understand it better, or just develop interest, like anyway, today it's easier because it's literally everywhere. You just turn on YouTube or the TV and somebody's going to say something about Bitcoin, and but the first time I heard of it, I think it was in that context, and the second time was like you, but my wife was playing some computer game and she said, hey, I'm earning Bitcoins in the computer game, but it was just a game, so I really totally didn't get the point of it myself for a long time. And that's by the way, the reason why I mentioned it's so important to keep challenging yourself and to keep learning, because that's a lesson I took from that. I was stuck in my own world. I was stuck in my own understanding. I was stuck in my own status quo. I was not challenging my ideas, my understanding, my thoughts, my knowledge. I was just taking it for granted as the right way, and that's why I missed ideas and opportunities, because I wasn't open to challenge my opinions.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild idea at first. I used to think too, oh, physical coins, okay, let me just get them. And then someone said, no, they're just online. I'm like, nah, no thanks. All right.
Yeah, well, okay, because it's a network, really. That's the more important thing. Before it's any coin or anything, it's the most secure network that we know on Earth right now, and it's decentralized. There's no single authority. No one can really lie to anybody else, because the 51% need to agree on the blockchain, basically, for it to be validated. And that's why I believe it's the future of money. Just that. I totally that's my opinion for sure.
So we have a question here.
Yes.
So are you worried about quantum computing breaking the algorithm, thus breaking the coins?
Yeah, well, that question comes up often, and really, if we have a quantum computer problem, then we have a problem for the nuke codes of the US, of China's nuke codes, of you know what I mean? Like, we have much bigger fish to fry.
Codes as in what?
As in, look, if you have a quantum computer, it can crack fucking everything, like even the codes to nuclear weapons. Okay? So we have a much different problems on our hand than Bitcoin when that's the situation. Despite also, or on another note, there will probably, when there's quantum computing in that respect that big, then there will be also defense mechanism developed hand in hand. So I'm not worried about that. That argument sounds very fringe to me, especially as if someone really has a quantum computer, he'd not focus on Bitcoin.
That's true.
Probably hold the U.S. government ransom much more.
Yeah, that does make sense. Like, if you have something so strong that you can like break Bitcoin, your motives are much bigger than Bitcoin at that point. Your motives are, all right, let me see what else I can do. Let's talk about Russia. Let's talk about China. Let's talk about U.S.
Yeah. Whole different, like a very, like it's a, like I said, it's like a very fringe understanding of risks when you say like, oh, quantum computer is going to break Bitcoin. Right, it can, but it's probably going to break a whole lot of shit that is much more important before, So that's what I'm saying, like, keep your eyes on a real ball and don't get, sidetracked by these kind of thoughts, in my opinion, at least.
Okay, let's see here. It is the future, but we got some old banks and people who wouldn't believe or allow it to grow as fast as I could. You know what? Like, to be honest, like, people who don't believe in it, they will just phase out as time goes by. Like, you have like 50-year-olds now who may not believe in it. You have more 40-year-olds who believe in it. Then you have much more 30-year-olds who believe in it. So as like, generations pass, like 5 years, 10 years, they'll just phase out. And the new phase will come in of virtual reality and virtual money and digital coin. So that's how we see world changing slowly. Because like my dad, right? Like 10 years ago, my dad, he couldn't even move a mouse. Because he's like, no, I don't want to move a mouse. I don't want to use the laptop. Yeah, I'm not like this. You do it for me, right? But now all that generation is phasing out slowly now. Like iPads, we have like virtual headsets now. Like Facebook came out with this whole program where you can just wear the virtual headset, like it's in beta mode now, and you can have your own life in there. You can have new everything, like new family, new job. It's just like you sit there, virtual world, and that's it.
Yeah, I definitely think there's the potential, the opportunity. We don't even completely understand it just yet, but that there will be massive change. I think it's inevitable, especially if you look look, I mean, the M2 money supply chart that the Fed conveniently discontinued now shows that really about 30% of every dollar ever created since the history of the US dollar was created in the last year. I mean, just think about that idea for a moment. How much money was created to get this COVID thing turned around, you know, like that. It says discontinued. Look at the chart when it just loads. Hopefully you see that.
Holy!
You know, and that's what your dollar or the amount of dollars that's been created out of nothing, out of thin air.
Wow.
Why do you think real estate is more expensive? Anything that is remotely a store of value, it's not that really the stuff has gotten more expensive. It's that the money is losing value. It has a leak. That's the leak. You see it on that graph, you know, and it's leaking heavily. You know, nothing works with a leak in a physical world. Like try to go with a ship from the US to Japan with a leak in it, you know, or to Europe. You know, how far are you going to get with that? And really, I like the ideas of thinking in first principles and reasoning from, you know, it just makes no sense. Money like that is inefficient, and that's why it's broken. It's completely broken, inherently broken, and that's why you see a lot more and more and more you know, adoption in the crypto space actually take place, you know, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is crazy because they were printing money, and then it went to a point where they said, all right, guys, you know what? We've printed way too much. I think we should just stop right now.
Stop showing what we're doing.
Stop showing. This is crazy.
Yeah. It's insane. And actually, it's supportive of the idea that, you know, the central banks are not necessarily acting in our interest, you know, because if you think about like also this K-shaped recovery that we saw last year. So everything that was based on money recovered quickly. And most people, wages and all of that, did not, you know, like, so the only people that really recovered from the whole COVID thing were the ones that already had capital and already had money. And the normal people, they didn't recover as well. Normal paying jobs, not. Let's just say you were making $3,000 before, now you make it $3,000, go and live the same life with the same kind of money. You can't buy the same things anymore. You can barely make a living, if at all, any longer. While Wall Street just gets money and money and money and money because there's infinite supply of it, and they just leverage their shit up, you know, and that's another good idea why Bitcoin actually works for, you know, the rich people. They don't spend money, they lend against their assets, you know. So you know, you have real estate, you forward finance the cash flow of the asset by a loan. You get a cheap loan, and actually if you're lucky, then your asset appreciates more than your loan costs you in paying back, you know. And that's what you can do with Bitcoin. Actually, you should never sell your Bitcoin ever. You should really, if you ever need liquidity, just loan against it. And there's even ways to do that now. There's and you can do that in a decentralized way. And we haven't even talked about DeFi, guys. Like there's ways of really, I mean, obviously it's still early on, and there's risks. There's you know, smart contract risks, counterparty risks, all of these things, but nonetheless, there's a way to get return on your cash, on your digital dollars. Actually, you can make depending on where you go, you can go like big platforms like Aave or Compound. You can make 5-8%, but even in a more way, you can make 10-20% on a digital US dollar coin. You know, try to get some interest from your bank. You know, they're gonna say, hey, thank you, I'm gonna give you 1 cent in a year on your $100,000. You know, and you can stake. That's the next thing. You can contribute to the validation of a network usage. You know, and it's a bit of a like a deep rabbit hole. We could actually endlessly talk. Some people, you know, don't enjoy me talk so much. Others do. So I'm not gonna, you know, I'll continue to be myself. I don't give a shit. And I've been running quite well with that. So there's so many opportunities, and you know, I think it's very important to make a following decision in your life. Do you want to be right, or do you want to do the right thing? You know, and if you want to do the right thing, it means you got to continue to be a learner for the rest of your life. You know, and that's I think, enough said. I don't even have more to add to that.
Can I ask a question? Hey there. I spent the last 3 days. I spent 3 days trying to set my Ledger Nano up with my EOS that I hold, right? And, you know, I consider myself maybe more of an advanced user. And then I'm looking at sometimes, especially the DeFi stuff, having barriers of entry, like intellectual barriers of entry. How do you think, right, they're going to go across that thing? Because it's not as straightforward as, you know, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, because most of the time you purchase some Bitcoin. Okay, fine. You throw it on a hardware wallet. That's pretty simple, and most people can handle that bit, right? But then, when you're staking and then you need to unstake, or for example, if you're part of a liquidity pool, which I've been trying out as well, and those kind of things, you're part of all that. There's a layer of complexity there, number one, and there's a layer of security there, number two, and there's of course financial considerations with things going up and down, whatever, and losing out or making profit or whichever one it goes. There's actually that complexity there, which I think for the average person is still a barrier to jump in. How do you 100%. See that being crossed? How do you see that being crossed? Because I took 3 days to figure out and how to do it, and it wasn't straightforward.
Yeah, I'd say it's just like, I don't know, I was around in the early 90s when we started the internet in the beginning, and getting on a browser, using a modem, and all of these things, they were very, very complicated, not easy, not streamlined, and definitely not for everyone. Actually, I was a nerd considering doing that at the time. And I think that's a learning curve. That's an adoption learning curve. At some point, all of these processes that you talk about, they're going to be streamlined and simple to understand apps or web applications. And you don't know the underlying protocol of the website that you're using, and on the internet, and you don't care, frankly, as a user. So that's why, or that shows us that we're early in the process. That's so when people think they missed that train, I beg to differ. What you missed is to educate yourself, so you better start now. And that's really what's it about. You never miss any train if you just continue to really be attentive to the information around you, or at least want to. And I believe that a lot of these barriers that you talk about, there will be, and there's so many smart people working in these spaces, they're going to become more and more easily accessible and streamlined into apps and other ways of interacting with them. And this is how we're going to get over these barriers. So right now, probably also, let's just say the potential of earnings will become smaller over time, because the entry barrier is going to become easier. So now you're getting paid for overcoming that barrier a lot more. It's like trading, like Raj trades. If you're overcoming the barrier of learning that kind of trading strategy, you're going to get paid well for it. If it was a click of a button, probably there's not going to be so many pips or profits into it anymore. Really, I think that think in concepts, reason from first principles, and stop being offended by other people, by their opinions, or by their messages or characters, but really get out of your own shit, and do things. That's will continue to be what I'm going to push and preach until my heart stops.
Yeah, I know, that's amazing. So, like, let's say you have an average 24-year-old, right? He's making money, he's making money to get by, plus he's making enough to kind of save maybe 15% of that at the same time. And he's looking at everything that's happening right now, right? And looking at where we're going to be in the next 10, 15 years, what do you think is going to be the best financial plan for that kind of guy right now? Because the only reason I ask is because our average age of viewers are around between 20 to early 30s.
Well, I think one thing that you should definitely understand, we need, first of all, you need to be a little bit more clear about what your target is, because when you're 20, your requirements for your living standards are very different than in your 30s or 40s, potentially with family, kid, whatever, all these things, they cost money, right? And but one thing that you need to understand, time in the market beats timing the market. The longer you can be in a market, so you should start investing today, even as a 20-year-old. How should you do that? Dollar cost average. Take a certain percentage of your monthly earning and invest it in my opinion, and that's where we could differ a lot. This is not financial advice, by the way. Whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or potentially real estate or stock market, that's a question you need to answer for yourself more. But you should invest. You should invest, and you should do it regularly with a percentage of your income, and do that start with that as early as possible and continue to do that consistently. Then your 30, 40-year-old you is going to thank you a lot. This is what would be my advice for sure. So take 5% of your monthly earning, just buy Bitcoin once a month, and do that for the next 10 years. And I can guarantee you, from my perspective at least, again, this is not financial advice, I know we need to say this shit all the time, but that you will be a much happier man down the road if you didn't do it. 100%.
Yeah, I know that's true. Yeah, I guess like a lot of guys, like, they get caught up in the hype of the present situations, and
which is wrong
that's,
also.
oh yeah, very, very wrong. Because like later on in life, they realize, oh man, the amount of money I wasted in my 20s, I shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done that, and it's something I talk about all the time. Every time when people ask me what's the best way to go forward, I just say, listen, same thing you said, invest and save, save,
Yes.
and invest.
See, that's the thing. If you save in US dollars that provenly are losing a lot of value, like just the last 10 years, then your savings have a leak. They're losing value. So that's why you want to save in assets and not in liquidity, right? You only need as much liquidity as your life standards needed, your rent, your car, whatever it is, but you don't need liquidity just sitting on a bank account, other than maybe a rainy day fund a little bit. But otherwise you're losing from what you have. So that's why it's important, in my opinion, to build assets. And the easiest way to build assets these days, whether you like it or not, is digital coins, in my opinion. And not Dogecoin, not meme coins. I'm talking about Bitcoin particularly here. It has a very special place, in my opinion. And obviously, could there be other coins coming there? Like Ethereum has a lot more use cases, but it's also a lot more of a venture bet. It's like buying a stock. Bitcoin is a lot more like buying gold, in my opinion. And just if you do that and you add up to it and you save it and you keep that, it's deflationary. It's like there's only a limited amount of it, and that's it. It's very simple. Also, some people say that that's bad about Bitcoin. I also beg to differ, because you don't want it to be sophisticated and have all these thousands of things that it can do. No, it's very simple. It's like, also Michael Saylor said that. It's like these cockroaches, they survived thousands, hundreds, millions of years of Earth's evolution. They didn't need to change their DNA or whatever. They still exist today in their form, and so this is what you want your money to be, right? To continue to exist in the way it is.
So basically you're saying like, Bitcoin mainly will be treated as a commodity rather than a currency.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely think Bitcoin is a lot more an asset. It's really like digital gold. Then it's not It's not a currency for transactions. No.
So more of a commodity. Okay.
Yes, it's a store of value to keep it. And in fact, like I said, ideally you never sell it. If anything, you finance against it. You take a loan against it at some point. You can even do that today.
You leverage against it. Okay.
You lend against it. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
I think where we're headed is, I read a lot about NFTs now too. I think where we're headed towards digital assets now. With NFTs coming up, like I saw these crazy things sell for millions of dollars, and it blew my mind. Like at first when I saw this, I'm like, wait a minute, this is a picture, like a JPEG sort of picture. It doesn't really made sense. But then I thought about, okay, I had the same view about Bitcoin back when I first heard about it. So I had to really quickly wrap my head around NFT to just say that, okay, like, what? It's a picture. It's worth something. So maybe, like, in future, like, if we can't afford, like, physical assets, digital assets are going to be the way forward. Like, once we, like, move into, like, 5 years down the road and 10 years down the road. So I don't know, man.
Right.
It's crazy.
I was thinking about NFTs as YouTube clips, right? Like a little clip.
Yeah.
But I think
then I started thinking about long term, like a Rembrandt or maybe a Picasso, a Rembrandt or something like that, and someone who made it today, like 20, 30 years from now, is gonna gain momentum, and it's gonna be worth more than $2,000, right?
I think we have a bit of a misunderstanding about NFTs and a specific picture or specific product, like NBA Top Shots or whatever, or the 69 million kind of picture. NFTs are, like, okay, Bitcoin also was used for I don't know, like black market payments, whatever, in the beginning, but NFTs are a platform that actually brings the power of creators to them. Are you an artist? You can create your own NFT. You can distribute your own rights. You don't need to go to fucking Virgin or whatever to publish your shit. You can create scarce stuff yourself, your own thing that you can actually then you don't need any middlemen anymore. So the potential of the platform, of the ability of what can actually be NFT'd, so to speak, and then fractionalized even to the littlest, to like spread to across as many people as possible. That's a potential that is insane for musicians, for artists, even like for anything that has individual, value, and that's why I think that's a very interesting part that we haven't even touched the surface of yet. So that's why you got to differentiate between NFTs, like a specific NFT product, and NFT as an opportunity. I'm very interested, by the way, in what Gary Vee is gonna drop. He's gonna drop some NFT project himself soon. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the guy.
yeah, me too. He hasn't really said or done anything yet.
Well, he made an announcement earlier this week, so he's dropping his NFT project very soon, actually. And also, Gary explains it quite well, because he's not from a financial world. He's not from but he understands human behavior, and this card trading kind of attitude. And that's why I'm particularly interested what he's going to do to push the NFT space out of this overpriced phenomenon into really a way of distributing something as an artist, with real intrinsic value, really, in that sense. Then,
so you think these live streams can be NFTs? I mean, is that how it works?
I think your very first one could be, yes, of course. I probably there's people that would pay money for your very first stream ever, or your last one, if there's going to be one at some point.
Okay, so NFT is thing, like,
yeah, it's collectors. It's collectors stuff.
It's something really special.
Yes,
right.
That's the
all
point.
Right.
Like a Picasso,
Exactly. So your very first stream, probably, and if someone could own your very first stream, look, at the end of the day, these scarce kind of things are there's always like show off kind of stuff. Like, hey, I got Raj's first stream, it's mine. Like that's there's people that were probably willing to pay money for that.
Yeah. If there's a market enough, then yeah.
How's your BitCloud doing, by the way? That's a project I didn't join. I thought it was crazy, but what's your price now?
I don't know, man. Like, I put money in it, and then the price went up, and then I asked somebody, okay, so how do I withdraw money from this? And they said you can't. I'm like,
can't.
Well,
Yeah.
Then I was like, why not?
I think, the project seemed a bit dodgy to me. That's why I didn't. I didn't think it was too cool. But I followed that you tried it out, babe, by the way, and that's why I asked.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, this can't be true. So we're at 284 per coin. We have 2,000 locked in. The market cap is 7,000. But the most interesting thing is, if you look over here, this is like 7 million are locked in on this coin right here. This
insane, right?
This virtual is not even public yet.
Yeah.
And the amount of people throwing money, like 4 million. We have Mr. Chamat over here, who's verified it, 2.3 million locked in. And I'm just thinking that people have thrown money in something which is not public yet in the hopes that it goes public. And when it goes public, they're going to make a bunch of money. But when, we don't know. So
yeah, I think the idea also of BitCloud is a lot of these profiles, they're not even owned by the real guys. So
yeah,
it's like snatching up a domain, and sell it back to Google or to Mercedes or whatever you snatched, basically. That's what people try to do here. I'm getting Chamas profile, and when the real guy wants it, I could sell it to him.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening. Like, look at this, 27,000 per coin. Whaleshark.pro, and I don't even know who this is.
So this is an interesting question. Do you think Forex will disappear with this new digital coins NFT world? I personally think that there's a space for both. I don't think that dollars or euros will completely stop existing. Probably going to be continue to be means of currency and transactions. So in that way, there will always be a need for transacting. That's also one thing a lot of people, I think, overlook. The Forex market doesn't exist so we can trade it. It exists because real companies have real currency exchange needs. Like, if you buy stuff or if you're Apple and you sell in Europe, you sell in India, you sell in the UK, you sell in the US, you're getting all these currencies, right? And you got to do something with that. You got to pay your wages in the one country and the other. So there's a real need for currency exchange, for the commerce, for the economy. And we're just piggybacking that when we trade.
Yeah, because when you move billions in volume, every change in cent, it matters a lot at that point. Plus, I also think like that question is pretty interesting. Like a lot of guys ask me this too, will Forex disappear? And like I mean, slowly when we move towards digital currencies, I think I don't know, like this whole idea about digital, the dollar, digital euro and pound. I think it's not a far-fetched idea, but when I look at the fact that how much black cash is out there in the world, you know, with the governments, with the politicians, with companies, so much cash reserves which are unaccounted for. So when a day does come when the banks say, hey, like, you know what, guys, till next week, deposit all your cash in the bank because after that, all this cash is going to be worthless. Right? Then we're going to have a huge run for money laundering. We're going to have a huge run for cash. And I think that's going to be a very, very interesting time when the banks do come out with a statement like that.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how things develop from here. So that's why you should never put all your eggs in one basket. I mean, everybody knows the saying, but you should also act on it, you know? But I think like trading in general is an evergreen. Like people will always want to trade or have some sort of trying to speculate on certain price movements, and whether it's going to be coins or currencies or cattle, that doesn't really matter. But one thing is for sure, we live in a digital world, so everything will be blinking numbers on the screen either way. So what do I care if it's called euro or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Numbers on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, like if let's say hypothetically speaking, if in some strange world we don't have Forex, we're gonna have exchanges that's gonna trade cryptos or they trade some other things. So yeah, you're right. Like
that's why I said reason
be
from first principles. You know, the first principle is people want to commerce, people want to speculate, people want to exchange. You know, and that's why I think the Forex industry is also, it preys a lot on the need for gambling that's somehow bound to human nature in a way, you know, and that's why a lot of brokers out there, you know, they make money from people losing. Why? Because people want to, you know, most Forex brokers, they pretend to be financial operations, but they're a casino wrapped up in a financial narrative, basically, you know, and when you understand that, and you also see that the interests in the markets, they are not as clean as they look from the outside, you know, like many people make money from their followers, from their clients, losing the money at the broker, and the broker pays actually then the I don't know, educator, mentor, whatever, signal provider, you name it, you know. This is what I think what you guys are doing very differently, because dude, you're trading every day here. I mean, there's not so much to to say here, right? And
yeah.
And by the way, I got really fed up by especially people that sell you, I don't know, like baby pips knowledge for thousands of dollars or euros in their super course. So actually this week I released a free course on my own YouTube, which, you know, if you go through that course, you never really need any other let's just basic course, or you shouldn't buy a course from people that you know try to sell you standard knowledge. Yeah, you should.
What's your YouTube?
I think Alex. Oh wow, now you catch me myself here. Alex Duvidario also, like.
Alex Duvidario.
Yeah.
Duvidario. Like oh, there you go.
Yes.
Trading strategy number 24 and 25. Oh, okay. So you got a series of videos over here.
Yeah. I made like, I think it's 24 videos, and it's really, you know, I call this to learn reading and writing. You know, just because you can read and write now, it doesn't make you a bestseller author, you know, or a poet, for the lack of a better word. But really, you know, but most people, they try, you know, to write a book without ever learning how to read and write. And this is my contribution, basically. Give this course for free. Other people would probably charge thousands of bucks for that. Yeah, I actually, if you go on playlist, it should show you the playlist of the course, and that should be much clearer.
Oh, there we go.
And there's all sorts of videos in there, and from the very beginning to really like a little bit of advanced concepts, but still, you know, to help people to build a foundation, you know, a foundation of trading or financial literacy, you know, and that was my idea here, and why I'm just sharing that with everybody.
Yeah, I know, that's amazing. I would encourage everyone to go and sub to this channel over here. There we go.
Thank you.
And hit the bell thing over here too.
Yeah, I'm definitely planning to release more and more stuff as well, content. I'm obviously, I probably will never be able to match your output, but you know, we all exist in our own way, right?
yeah, it's true. Oh wow, from 986 to Congratulations, hit 1,000 now today.
Well, thanks, guys.
Welcome to the 1,000 club.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like when I started my YouTube channel, that was the whole thing. Like I saw people like, selling these crazy $300 per month memberships and $200 per month memberships and charging thousands. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. So that's why I started posting a lot of webinars on YouTube. From, I think in 2017, I posted my first webinar, and then I got a lot of response. I'm like, wow, people love it. And I started posting more and more and more. And that's how I made a name that, oh, okay, this guy, Wix Not Lie, is posting content and this and that. And I think that really helped people too. And once I started posting that, I saw that those same educators, they started lowering their price because there was there was competition coming for free, and they're like, oh shit, we gotta lower the price now.
That was kind of my idea. I didn't want to take like market share from others away. I was just fed up by that arbitrage in the market, basically, for them to charge money for nothing in return. They're literally not doing anything. They're copy pasting from some other fucking place, So here it is. It's for free, and get your head right and put in because actually after you go through that, your journey of learning starts. This is the foundation. This is the basis. This is not the destination, because, and you could probably say that better than anybody else. Trading or being, financially successful is a process. It doesn't end. It's not like, oh, you stumble across your super strategy and from then on it's a piece of cake until the end of days, right? No, it's an everyday process. It's like, this misconception in trading that is, I don't know a single athlete in this world, professional, that stopped training when he became a professional. And in trading, yet people think you don't need to train. No, dude, you need to train every single day, actually, if you want to be a professional, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like you have to really love the process. And I think most people come into trading with these illusions and these dreams of making a lot of money, which is true. Like, everyone has dreams, and some dreams don't come true all the time, but when you come into trading with the passion of really learning and enjoying the process, the byproduct of all that effort is the money you gain after that. So you're absolutely right. Like all these videos, I mean, even though like they build good foundations and you're really passionate about this stuff, you will work on good foundations. Sometimes, I talk to guys and they're like, hey man, like I'm trying to place trades, I'm trying to win, but I'm not winning. What should I do? I'm like, do you even have like a solid foundation? He's like, no, I watch a bunch of videos and now I'm starting to trade. I'm like, and that doesn't work like that.
And that's why you're gonna statistically lose, because you don't have a real concept that you're following here, because the odds are stacked against you. It's like probability that you're going to lose if that's your strategic preparation. If you go to war without being equipped, like what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get shot, and so that's why I'm really trying to get it into people's mind that yes, having the dream of being successful, independent, all of these things that can become true, but it's an everyday process. It's something you got to do day in, day out. And what I really love is I talk about this quite some often in my own mentorship. It's like the right mindset. Like I love Stoicism, for example. It's like Roman Greek philosophy, where it's all about the obstacle is the way. You got to rise up to your challenge and really don't pity yourself for difficulty. Put in the effort and continue to do that, and be proud of yourself that you're doing it. And just go down that road, because you can never own or control your results. You can own and control your effort that will produce your results, but you cannot directly have your results under your control. Only the efforts to get there. The only thing that we can actually decide is how we react to the world and what we think, and that's kind of it, and what we do, and the rest comes out of those decisions.
Yeah, I know that's true. Well, let me ask this, right? What was the point in your trading where you're taking these string of losses? Right? What was that point, like, when you started, and how'd you kind of like cope with that to kind of understand that, okay, this really is a part of the game? Or was that just like you knew from the start?
So I started like On the flip side, basically, because when I started, I wanted it easy. I had a little bit of money earned from my job at the time, and I gave it to a trader to manage for me, and I lost that money completely overnight, you know. And then I was stupid enough to ask my parents for money, and that gave me money then at the time, their retirement fund actually, and I lost it on top. So basically, I started from the bottom, you know, from 6-figure debt, basically, not even ashamed as much that I couldn't even face my parents to tell them that I lost their money, you know. And this is where I started. So basically, I realized, this was my first realization, like, fuck,
you paid them back. You paid them back though, right?
You know? So and then I started really trying to understand working. You know, I started an internship at a bank at the time, and really the way I got in a working dynamic for trading was mainly through technology in the beginning, like understanding how liquidity works, who's the liquidity provider, where does all this stuff come from. And then at the time there was news trading was quite well. There was this thing called SNW, where you could basically get the information of an NFP release very, very fast, like completely connected to Bloomberg or stuff like that.
Oh wow, that's cheating.
And you know, and you would still need to decide, okay, when the NFP number comes out, because there's like different metrics, so it's not just the number, the headline number itself, you know, it's like the wages as well. And but through that we were able to basically enter trades quite quickly and take the first impulse of a news trade. That was the first realization how technology and knowledge married together gave me an edge, you know. And this is what I look for today still. I'm not that much of a technical trader in an intraday perspective as you guys do it, but a lot more I'm looking for edges that like that, for example, if I can get like a news release. Obviously this got a lot more efficient these days. You can't do that anymore like that, but that's why crypto is so interesting. Look, and I actually mentioned that on my Instagram story. When you hold a futures position on a crypto coin, depending on where the funding interest is, you can get paid for being in the trade. It's like swaps in Forex, basically. Okay. At the same time, if you find a cheap way to hedge against it, you know, let's just say you have a way to hedge a Bitcoin here, and you have a way of hold the Bitcoin future on the other side, and you hold both sides. So wherever the market goes, it doesn't matter. This goes up, this goes down, you know? But at the same time, you're collecting swaps every day, funding. That is the kind of trade that I like to look for these days. You know, market neutral trades. That's stuff that really excites me. This is what I spend my time researching and looking for. And that's stuff that is very different to this actionable short-term intraday type of trading that is happening here. You know, and that's why it's I'm talking a bit of a different language. But doesn't make it any less legit or existing, actually, you know. But that's, by the way, what I mean mostly, that you got to find your thing that you understand to see, that you understand to capture, that you understand to execute, you know. And that can be vastly different from you and I, you know. It's like Albert Einstein said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will think it's stupid, you know. If I'm a fish trying to climb a tree all my fucking life, it's not gonna work, you know. But if I realize, damn, I can breathe underwater, maybe I should look for stuff underwater rather, then I'll have a higher chance of success, you know. And that's what I mean, like, figure yourself out. That's also a thing that we don't spend time on. We just we're looking for someone to hand us a strategy, for someone to hand us a solution, for someone to hand us this, and in the process we don't even work on ourselves. And that's really, if you don't do that, then it's very tough to amount to something, you know, if you don't work on exactly these things, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. In your opinion, that's absolutely right. You gotta say it in, like, you know, or someone's gonna hold you accountable. Hey, wait a minute, that's not a general statement. Yeah, like, no, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I say that is that because I could be wrong. Like, I'm not pretending that I'm Mr. Know-it-all. I could be very wrong, you know. And but that's why, you know, there's this other thing. Opinion is the lowest form of knowledge. That's why you need to challenge your opinions. It doesn't take much to have an opinion. You could be an ass and have a lot of opinions just because of that. You know.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to know that your opinion was wrong. Like, like you can't get fixated on aspects that, okay, well, I think it's going to go up, and if something doesn't go your way, and you keep on saying but this, but that, but doesn't matter, because if the market went the opposite way, you have to accept you were wrong, and you have to find out that why you were wrong. Because if you can't find out why you were wrong, that same thing is going to happen the next week or the month from now, and you're still going to stuck with your opinion. And that, to me, I think, is the biggest downfall of people. Like, when they get stuck with their opinionated trade ideas, and they try to say that, okay, like, this has to go this way, this has to work this way. But at the same time, you need to keep in check that, okay, what if it goes the opposite way? What's your plan if it goes the opposite way? Because price can go up and down, and at the end of the day, market is always right.
100%. That's what I meant earlier, that you cannot control outcomes or the world or the market. What you can control is your plan and what you're gonna do as whatever happens. And that's where you need to understand where your point of influence is in this world. And it's not deciding look, every trade is a toss of a coin, to be honest. You never really know. The only thing you know is that if I follow a certain system, a certain rule set, that I have a probability edge on my side. That's why if I do it often enough, it comes full circle. But it's not because I know where the next trade's going to go. Even when I know my hit rate is 70%, doesn't mean I'm winning 7 trades out of 10 or 70 out of 100 or 140 out of 200. It doesn't mean that, It's not how you can look at it. It just means, like, if you keep going, maybe 1,000, maybe 50, maybe nobody knows how many, then you will come full circle with the probability. But and most people they underestimate that, and there's also a saying that I love to throw at people, is that people want to find love by jumping from one night stand to the next, and, that's kind of the strategy hopping going on here, dude, if you want a relationship, you got to invest into it, time and effort, and you got to understand yourself also, and what can you contribute to that dynamic, so then you have a chance of actually getting there, in my opinion, again.
All right, so we got another question here. Hey, Alex, what was a typical day in a hedge fund like?
At the end of the day, it's pretty much it's what you guys do too. You have a certain strategy, you have certain rules that you follow. You look for patterns in the market. You have also obviously other people on the team. You don't do it. It's not a one-man show. You make sure a lot of it is monitoring. Also, make sure that nothing was done wrong, that everything's executed correctly. You do, you got to know your numbers. You got to make sure that you're not doing something that you're not meant to do. And so in a way, it's really more spreadsheets and looking at numbers and making sure that whatever you plan to do, you're actually doing. Then there's also research. Research also has a lot to do with data. At the end of the day, you go out, you do back testing. Especially when you're algorithm, when you do use an algorithm, a lot of that is even done, by computers. But then you got to look at the data. You need to optimize your strategy details. Metrics is what I'm trying to say. And so it's really that. At the end of the day, it's pretty much comparable to trading your own show, just with a little bit of a different. Details of it, but the requirements are still the same. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know the risk per trade, you don't know whether the strategy you're following, the rules that you need to follow, then you really, chances are you're going to make a mistake, and that mistake doesn't take long for you to happen, and then it's going to actually hurt you, and so Yeah,
exactly. But at the same time, like, you have strict risk parameters which you have to follow all the time.
Yes. And you have also, which is pretty much a pain in the ass also, you have investors. They come and talk to you like, hey, what are you doing there? How's it going?
That's the most annoying thing.
Dude, did we really lose last month? Are you sure? Why are we losing? No, whatever. You have responsibilities. That it's not as shiny and gold and the promised land as it seems from the outside. Actually, I think if you can be self-sustained, trading your own strategy, have your own community, what you're doing, I believe that's actually, in my world, it's more fulfilling.
Yeah, like, I look at hedge funds because, like, at first I used to look at, like, this Wolf of Wall Street type thing. you know. But
Yeah,
but when
everybody does.
yeah, but when I really started reading about it, I'm like, well, you know what? I'm happy waking up and starting to stream and trading when I want, how I want, and calling it a day at
Perfect.
that time.
Perfect, 100%, and that's why I stopped doing that at some point and just went on my trading my own, basically, for exactly those reasons. You know, also I had a child, and I wanted to be closer to, you know, be there basically, and so that's why for me was the decision making. Like, okay, I probably could also be some corporate guy in some forex company. No, I decided against that for those exact reasons that you just mentioned.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Simplicity is great, you know. It's like you and have peace of mind and also the ability to sustain yourself economically. That's fantastic. Like, and then when you're healthy on top, you know, you have a bit of a loving environment around you. Like, what more could you ask of life, really?
Regarding natural gas, I see a lot of volume every day between 9 and 10. To which instrument is a correlation there? I have no idea about natural gas.
I haven't traded it since the beginning of the year, actually, or the last time when I was on Max stream. So I have no idea what it's doing at the moment, and I don't understand the question per se as well, because if you see volume in gas, then you mean like the instrument of natural gas? That depends on the broker. It's really different from broker to broker. They use different names for it.
Like, does natural gas has a correlation with any currency? Like, let's say oil has it with CAD, or like, you know, I don't think so.
Well, there are some countries that are more gas rich than others, but I think gas reacts a lot more to weather, weather patterns. Because that and that's actually, you know, a lot of research being done. There's special companies that do exactly that. They look at the weather patterns, and it's called HDD models and stuff like that, as to, because that influences the production, basically the supply, and that's why it influences the price.
Okay. Makes sense. Someone is saying if Raja doesn't make sense, then he's not really Raja. Today's a chill day. Like, you know, we're talking about economy, forex, stock, crypto, yes, relationship advices, anything. And, you know, especially if we have Alex here, so you know it's gonna be good over here.
Thanks. Like, again, by the way, I really appreciate that you guys bring me on from time to time again. I understand that your usual format is different, and but at the same time, I think it's good to have these conversational meetings as well, because that's what people do. I mean, we do have that cultural or aspect in us as humans, I would say, and especially to talk about topics that we're all interested in and that are relevant even in the context of trading, even when we're not talking about pips and breakouts and patterns.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I remember last time when you were on my stream and
Yeah.
you had that little misunderstanding, but you know, it's all
Yeah, these things happen.
water under the bridge, but
yeah,
it's
totally.
okay.
I'm by the way, that's
that's nothing against me. I am not against you, and I love your work, you know. And I
thanks,
appreciate
man.
what
Like,
you do.
guys, you know, I very much, you know, I'm a fan of what you guys do, the commitment, the everyday hustle, basically, you know, for lack of a better word. You're role models, you know, and that's great. And and that's why I have all the respect for that.
All right, let's see. Some people are looking for buys over here on pound yen. See, now this candle is closing above this resistance. It's a Friday. I'm not going to be participating in it. It looks good, but at the same time, on the 15-minute time frame, there's a bit of a rejection here around 650, 151, 700 as well. So I don't know. I'll just say be careful. It's Friday, end of the month, end of the week. Use a lower risk if you're really going to execute on this. You know, because you really don't want to take a loss at the end of the week, at the end of the month. You don't want that red day, so be careful. And for that reasons, I'm not executing on any trades today.
That's, by the way, why I also said, like, hey, if I come on the stream, Friday is a better day, because then it can be more conversational.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Someone asked a question here earlier. How do you know trading memes? I've actually thought about that as well.
Funny enough, the guy is a friend of mine. I've known him before I knew that he was doing trading memes, because he's German. I'm German. That's kind of where the connection comes from. And this is also, he's actually it's his fault that I'm now in the mentorship business as well, because he would come to me and he would ask me questions about his trading, and I would give him my opinions. I would tell him, you need to research that more, find out more about this, maybe look in that, and like, it was a back and forth kind of dynamic happening, and he said he really benefited from that a lot. And then he came back and said, like, you got to do this for other people. He said, like, dude, okay, if I'm really gonna get involved in this mentor thing in Forex, for all the reasons that I knew were not the good, like I said, what I mentioned earlier, a lot of people just, they prey on people's insecurities and make money from their losses, and so I'm not selling a strategy. I'm helping people to develop their own, to understand their own strengths, their weaknesses, have a data-based approach, work with data and numbers, to be able to spot your own abilities, your ideas, put them together in a plan, research what you need to do back testing, create visuals, and all of these things, and bring coherence to all of that. Then go out and try to trade it, see what you're doing right, what you're doing not right, where are you going off plan, where you're sticking with your plan. All of these things is like a whole process. And that's what I do in my mentorship, and how I help people to really develop their own strategy and become capable in the process for themselves, actually.
Yeah, I think visualizing is really, really, really important, because when I'm looking for a certain setup to trade, I'm actually mapping it out in my mind of how I want certain things to print. And if that thing happened, and that basically happens around like 60-70% of the time, and if that does happen, I'm like, okay, perfect. What I visualize in my head, that's appearing in front of me right now, so I can execute on this with utmost certainty. But sometimes, things, they kind of print in a way that it's kind of what I visualize, but it's not 100% there. Just like right here, right? Right here, the candle's printing bullish, but to the left-hand side, we have a little bit of a rejection. So this, to me, is something I wouldn't want to execute on. If there was just one clean candle moving down with no wicks over here, to me, that would be like, okay, like, you know what? I've visualized this. I've seen it. I've made notes on it. It makes sense.
That's exactly the point. Create these notes, create these screenshots, create the visuals, train on it, do it 1,000, 100,000 times. This is where capability and skills come from, and not from a download from a program or a mentor or whatever. That's the work. That's the personal development that you got to go through in order to build skills.
Yeah, you're 100% right. What's the speaker's name? It's on the screen right here. It says special guest today. This is the name right here.
Yeah, that's my IG handle.
Yeah, that's the IG handle right there. Let's take a look over here. Oh wow, it really grew to 1.59.
Yeah, man. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
You got a bullish spike over there.
Yeah, indeed.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm gonna say just be careful today, and look, as we see, price is just coming straight down over here. Let's see here. Is he the creator of Seasonal Prime? Yes. Trading Memes was the creator.
Yeah, it's true. Like, Seasonal Prime is also a product that I am not the creator of Seasonal Prime myself personally. I'm part of the team. Everything is in that sense a team effort. I don't pretend to be, Mr. Know-it-all or can-it-all or any of that. So the idea of the Seasonal Prime was to take all this data and to show it in easy to understand probabilities. And that's why I think it can help a lot of traders to add it as an additional layer of quality to their trades. Should you take the trade now? Should you wait for the next support resistance level? Should you take half risk, full risk? These kind of questions you can answer quite well or better with the Seasonal Prime. And also, what I do in my mentorship is that because like my promise is I help people develop their own strategy. So I cannot come and say like, hey, you got to use my tool, dude. That would be, the opposite of what I'm preaching in a way. But what I can do is I can show them how are others using that tool? How are they implementing it in all different sorts of strategies? How is it giving them benefit, and then find your own way of doing that. And we're actually adding more and more and more functionalities. We have seasonality, we have pattern recognition, we have different sentiments positioning in the market, smart money, dump money, and all these, and we're adding more and more. So the whole point is to make it more or less of a Bloomberg for everybody, and without like the fancy, there's this concept of like the institutional world, like these Batmans out there that they have anything. Look, there's a German saying, everybody cooks with water. If you believe somebody has a magic sauce, then you're the one cutting yourself short. Everybody cooks with water. It's the same fucking thing, but you still got to learn the recipe, you know. So that's why the idea of the seasonal prime is to give you tools that can help you to compute difficult data or a big amount of data in an easy way and add it as a layer to your own strategy.
So does it really base things off of biases? Because like, let's say, like, sometimes, like, we look at this thing here, we don't, like, it's not serious, but we just say, okay, like, what the bias is, that the dollar is strong or the yen is weak or the pound is strong. Is that the data, like, it collects?
No, that's a part of it. There's a number of different ways of analysis in the seasonal prime. And like, sentiment is in that sense interesting. Look, if you understand how dealers work, for example, like, and this is the liquidity grabs or stop fishing or whatever you want to call this. If you're at an important key level and you see that a lot of the retails are mostly on the same side of the trade, then look, let's just say I had 100 million trade that I want to place in the other direction. So what would I do? I would take 20 million of that, push the price in a direction that would stop out the people, and then use the other 80 million to push it in the direction I actually wanted to go. And these kind of concepts do exist. This is how these big wicks actually happen. And so these sentiments can give you information, especially if you combine them with important support and resistance levels and certain chart patterns, and that can prevent you from getting involved on these levels, or can help you to try to capture them depending on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, nice. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's kind of like, okay, I've read about it, I've seen it, but I haven't really looked too much into it. Because like from the outsider looking in, I always looked at that as a way of, it's going to show you a bias. What's the bias of certain things? But I think it's much more than that.
Yeah, and really, that's why I think also a lot of people get lost in the fantasy of these institutional type of traders. And I think what you're doing is very right. You got to look at things always in the context of your doing. Your strategy, if your strategy is not impacted by these kind of situations or less impacted, then why would you spend your time and effort and thoughts about mystifying this as a great thing you want to learn about, or that it has impact over or control over your trading results, And so now again, you're giving the ability to be successful away to somebody else instead of focusing on your own shit and figure out a way within the context of your ability to make it work. And it can work, which you are a fucking proof for.
Yeah, I know that's right. What's this? I was up 50% this month, but since last Friday, I've lost one trade to start with now, and now I'm down 60%. What am I doing wrong? I think you should be looking at, did you over leverage? Did you over risk? Did you over trade? Because if you were up 50%, you can't be down 60%. That means you lost that 50% plus you lost 60 more percent. So you lost a ton of percentages right there, right? So you have to look to see whether you over traded, you over risked, you over leveraged. Like, if you took losses, were those losses even like, mindful losses, or were those losses just like, oh, let me make this back? There's a difference having a mindful loss is where what your plan is when you're going to take a loss, and then there's another loss where you just like, mindlessly you lose and you take another trade just to make that loss back. Did you do that? And most probably when you look at your trade history, right, and this is true for, I'm not sure about everyone, but it used to be true for me. If I used to look at my trading history, all of my wins, they were all methodological wins. They were planned wins, everything was perfect. But most of my losses, they were just random losses. Random string of trades at random time, different losses. So you got to look at your history and see what you did wrong over there. And you will see a huge difference.
All right, bro. Then I think that's kind of, I'll call it a day here. I'll leave you guys to your trading.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for putting me on, and I look forward to doing this again in time. And I hope that we like. I really admire what you do here. I think I say it every time I come here, and the consistency, all the stuff. I think it's great, and it gives people the right. impression of what success in trading actually needs to look like if you want to do this kind of trading. And again, thank you very much for having me, and I hope to be here soon.
Yeah, man. Like, you know what? I'm gonna head off here too. It's the Friday. It's the end of the month, and I'm not really looking for trades. The only reason we started the stream was to have you on here, have this discussion, and yeah, that's about it. So hope no one over risks after this or over trades, and we'll see you guys Monday.
All right.
Thank
Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raja.
Thank you, Alex.
Adios.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Have a good weekend. Be safe.
Thank you.
Take care, cat.
Have a good weekend.
Have a
Yeah.
good weekend.
Be safe, everybody.
You too, Roger.
Thank you.
Yeah, things are just ranging. Gold's ranging, pound yen's ranging, back in the range, you know. So I mean, you know, it's a Friday, end of the month, end of the week. So that's what I thought about. Just
Friday then.
Friday and then Friday then.
Hey, Raja, I have a question. Are you sad getting rid of your SRT, man?
You know what? Leaving Canada, that's the only thing I'm gonna miss.
Really?
That's the only thing I'm gonna miss, the SRT. Because if I export it to Pakistan, it's gonna be like a 200% tax.
Right.
You know, and it's also left-hand drive, so I can't even drive it on the highways.
That's just unfortunate, man. It's a nice car. I've always looked into those muscle cars like the Demons, and then they're coming out with the Elephant too. I think they're going to be putting the Hellcat engine. I forget what the model is. They're going to put it into the SRT Durango. So
Yeah, they have it. They have it.
oh, they do.
Yeah. They have it. So you have a 6,000-pound car pushing 700 horsepower.
Jeez,
It's crazy.
Nuts.
It's nuts. So like, you know, like the one thing I'm gonna really miss about it, like every day when I drive it, at least one person, he stops at the light and he says, "Hey man, nice car." I'm like, yeah, but deep inside I know, but I'm leaving it.
Yeah, no, I get you, man. I used to buy and sell BMWs like M3s and stuff like that. That happened
yeah.
all the time. They would always like try to race me, or I get gassed or whatever.
Yeah.
They want to know how much power you making, what'd you do to it, all this stuff. But yeah, it's fun. The car culture is fun, man. I just been getting into it. So I saw in your stories that you were, you're liking that you're becoming a car guy now because you got the car and stuff.
Yeah, it is. Like the biggest thing is the Honda R-Types and Subarus. They always try to race. For some reason,
trust me,
they always try to race. What are you guys doing?
It's like, I'm not trying to race your Honda Civic, bro. Like, come on now. I'm in an M3. I don't need to, No, I completely get you.
Yeah.
So funny, man.
Yeah, it's funny.
All right, well, sorry for keeping you, man. Take care.
Yeah, no worries. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Nado.
Naughty.